For the first time in 54 years, on All Hallows Eve, the night before All Saints' Day, which is the day before All Souls' Day, It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, was not available for viewing on broadcast television. You see, Apple TV has secured the exclusive rights to all things Peanuts related. One more reminder that the times, they are a-changin'. Maybe such a reminder is an appropriate one for All Saints' Day. Because of all the qualities possessed by the saints, that is, those called by God to share God's love with the world, first and foremost is their and our willingness to change, to be transformed. One of the recurring and most prominent themes of our faith is that God changes everything, starting with us. And it is the changed who change the world. God, as are those who serve God, is in the transformation business, making all things new, raising all who are willing to new life. You may recall that each year on All Hallows Eve, as the Peanuts gang get their costumes on and go trick-or-treating, it is only Linus who abstains from the festivities, who remains in the pumpkin patch, waiting for the coming of the great pumpkin, who he believes will rise up from the patch and bring toys to all children. Charlie Brown cannot believe Linus' simple and seemingly stupid faith in such a far-fetched being, asking him incredulously, "When are you going to stop believing in the great pumpkin?" Linus responds, "When you stop believing in the guy with the big white beard and the reindeer-powered sleigh." To which Charlie Brown observes, "We're obviously having denominational differences." One of the favorite scenes in The Great Pumpkin, one that never grows old, is when each child announces enthusiastically their response to the great Halloween question, "What'd you get?" At each house, we hear from the gang, from Lucy and Schroeder and Pigpen and the rest, "I got 5 pieces of candy. I got a chocolate bar. I got a quarter. I got a pack of gum. I got a popcorn ball." And then Charlie Brown chimes in, each and every time, "I got a rock." As 5-year-old Eliza recently observed, "I feel bad for Charlie Brown, but it still makes me laugh." Charlie Brown gets a rock, and yet he still goes back. Just like every time he attempts to kick the football, hoping and praying that this time it will be different, Lucy whisks away the ball at the very last minute, and Charlie Brown falls flat on his face once again. But every time, even after disappointing results, Charlie Brown gets up and shows up, reminding us of another important quality cultivated by the true saints of God. All of them have known failure and futility. All have emerged from some sort of great ordeal, neither unscathed nor unchanged. All have been disappointed that things did not go their way, and yet they keep knocking on the door, keep running up to the ball. The saints persevere. They simply show up. They don't give up or give in. They stay the course, finish the race, and keep the faith. Another favorite scene in The Great Pumpkin reveals another great spiritual truth recognized by the saints of God. Little Sally is so excited that she finally gets to go trick-or-treating, but it sounds too good to be true. She just can't believe that such sweet gifts are freely given with no strings attached. It doesn't seem possible. Lucy explains all you have to do is walk up to the house, knock on the door, and say, "Trick or treat." Sally, skeptical that such gifts are there for the asking, wonders, "Are you sure it's legal?" The saints are those who recognize that though we may be unworthy or undeserving, we are the beneficiaries of God's goodness, objects of affection for the fount of every blessing. All we have to do is show up and say, "Here I am, Lord. Thank you." The saints count their blessings. They recognize the source. Every day they arise with an attitude of gratitude, even though they cannot imagine what they ever did to deserve such grace, graciousness, and gift. John puts it this way, exclaiming, "See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. Beloved, belonging, blessed. Now, something else is revealed about the saints. They really are different than everybody else. They walk to a different beat. They listen to a different voice. They serve a different God. They live out a different vision. Their values are the values of Jesus. Their priorities are the priorities of God. So radically different than the values and priorities of the world. At one point in the special, Linus admits, there are three things that I've learned never to discuss with people: religion, politics, and the great pumpkin. Linus has likely learned the hard way, as did the prophets of old. People get anxious, defensive, and sometimes even terrified or violent when you challenge them to change. But the saints of God understand that Jesus wants all of us, wants to transform every part of us, even our religious preferences, our political positions, and our belief systems. Jesus takes everything and makes it into something new and different, into what it was not before. We catch a glimpse of this radically different way of understanding what it means to be blessed, when Jesus takes every worldly value and turns it on its pumpkin head. Those values are not the important things, but actually the lesser things. Be done with those, as the hymn reminds us. In the Beatitudes, Jesus says that the blessed among us are not those who are rich and powerful, but those who are poor and poor in spirit. The ones that find true and authentic blessing when Jesus rules their hearts are those quite unexpectedly who mourn, who are meek, who hunger and thirst not to satiate their own appetites, but who hunger and thirst to fill the bellies of the hungry, who are driven passionately to desire justice and righteousness in this world. The blessed are the merciful and the kind, the pure in heart, the peacemakers among us, not the violent or those who bully and divide, and especially those who, when they stand up for what is right and righteous and fair and loving and true, are criticized and even persecuted for standing up for Jesus' values. If that happens to you, Jesus said, rejoice and know that the same thing happened to the prophets and even to me. You're in really good company, the company of the saints of God. We see this kind of radically different attitude in Snoopy. Go figure, the dog gets it right. In one Peanut strip, Linus asks Snoopy, Snoopy, doesn't it bother you that the Bible doesn't seem to speak very highly of dogs? And Snoopy responds, sure it bothers me, but I just turn the other muzzle. Snoopy gets it. As did Snoopy's creator, Charles Schulz. Schulz was a follower of Jesus, whose faith, like all those who follow Jesus, continued to evolve and change and deepen and broaden and grow over the course of his life. Schulz once said that his ultimate motivation for creating Peanuts was to say something about the truly important things in life. The important things for us saints are the values of Jesus, the priorities of God, even if they are in conflict with the values and priorities of our day. It's just different for us. We don't ascribe to everything we hear, to what is promoted by so many religious leaders of our day, such as the prosperity gospel. You've heard it. Follow Jesus and you'll get rich. The saints believe in something different, the generosity gospel. That is, follow Jesus and you become so giving, so generous, that you will find more joy, more meaning, and more purpose than you've ever known before. This alternative way of viewing life and opportunity as gifted stewards of God's abundance was captured succinctly by St. Tammany, the namesake of our parish here in Louisiana. George Washington called this Native American chief, quote, a true saint of God. Tammany once said, owning land is like owning the ocean or the air. No one really owns anything. It all belongs to God, our Creator. The saints understood that everything we have is pure gift, entrusted to us by a loving God to accomplish God's loving purposes through us in this world. Linus believed that each year the great pumpkin rises out of the pumpkin patch that he perceives is the most sincere, the most authentic, the most real, the most true. Each year, we believe that Jesus is with us every All Saints' Day, calling the saints to rise up and sincerely and truly serve Him, to be done with the lesser things of the world, and to give heart and soul and strength and mind, that is, to give all that we are and all that we have to serve the King of Kings. In today's world, that may sound far-fetched and unlikely, but like Linus, I believe that it's true, that Jesus still speaks, "Rise up, ye saints of God."